Italian Football Podcast.
Let's talk about Milan. With a view ahead of this weekend when they play against Napoli. And it's going to be already an early season Scudetto battle, if we can call it that. I think you would call it that, because I have to give I don't want to give you all the credit yet. Let's give a bit of time. You Milan have had an easy start to the season in terms of fixtures. It's been 4 fixtures against pretty weak opponents, let's say. Although I wouldn't call Udinese a weak opponent. I actually think Udinese are a good team, and that's what makes this win really impressive. 3-0 against Udinese, but they've now won 3 in a row. They've got 9 points, and they play Napoli, who we're recording this before Napoli play against Pisa. And, we expect Napoli to win that game and go on to 12 points, so go top of the table and be 3 points ahead of Milan. But Milan will be at home against Napoli at the San Siro on Sunday in the late night kickoff, 20:45 CET. And if Milan win that game, they can then join Napoli at the top of the table. So let me ask you again, Nima, are Milan the anti-Napoli for the Scudetto race this season?
I don't think there exists an anti-Napoli in this Serie A in terms of overall over 38 games. I think this Napoli are going to run away with it. But if anyone's going to push them, I think it's Milan. I really think that. I think the fact that Allegri's managed to stabilize Milan, he's starting something new. They play once a week, so fatigue and exhaustion will not be an issue. And once they get Rafael Leao back, let's remember Rafael Leao is out. That's a huge capital to have on the bench to throw in. But I think if anyone is, I'm more inclined to Milan than to anyone else. But it's going to be a very fascinating game because, look, if nothing else, Allegri and Conte battling it out is one of my favorite things in Italian football. Like those two up against each other, and when things get heated and when they start, the way that Allegri, his sarcasm in it and his trolling, because he trolls. I don't care what anyone says. Allegri trolls people. He trolls journalists. He trolls players. He trolls other opposition coaches. He is a troll, and it's funny. And Antonio Conte can get baited and get angry, and that's very, very funny. So I'm hoping he does get baited. I don't think he will be, because he's in a very comfortable position. If they beat Pisa, he'll be really, really happy and comfortable, and everything's rosy. But going into this game, I'm really looking forward to see how both of them take on this challenge. Does Allegri start his usual sarcasm and referring back to the goal fantasma, the Montari goal? Does Conte react to that? How does Conte handle that? Are they both a bit more careful? Do they want to kind of just see off this game and not lose? And for Napoli to take a point away at the San Siro, for Milan to take a point against the reigning champions. There's so many aspects to this. I'm really, really fascinated to see how both of these managers handle the preparations going into this game. But also from a tactical point of view, it's going to be very interesting. This is a big test for Milan. How do they handle a Napoli that's going to grind them the way that Napoli grind down teams? And how are Napoli in turn going to handle Allegri counter-attacking them?
If I just come on to you on your Milan point, it is the test of Milan. This is the test to see if this early season promise is something that can actually be turned into a realistic Scudetto challenge, because the 4 teams they've played are lower half teams so far. So now they're finally playing against one of the big guns, or the biggest gun in Napoli. So this is going to be, this is where it's at. This is where we'll see it. So far, Milan, I have been impressed by Milan, even though they lost that opening game to Cremonese as I said on the last show, I always look, even in games where your teams don't play too well, I always look at basics in football. I look at how many chances did my team create, how many chances did my team concede, and if you use that as the basis throughout the course of the season, generally it will give you a good idea of how well your team's going to do.
Agreed.
Now, in all 4 of the games, Milan have created more chances than the opposition and conceded far less chances. And so if Milan continue that over the course of the season, they're going to have a really good season. But we have to look at the opposition, and now they're playing against tougher teams now, and starting from this Napoli game. So we'll have to see how that comes. But so far, I think I've been impressed by the midfield. I think that Modric and Rabiot, immediately, those two have really, I mean, Modric, we've already, went to town on him last week after he scored at the age of 40, but Rabiot has started really well alongside him. So you've got those two players who are obviously experienced players who are already producing, and Milan's midfield is looking good because of those two. Basically, those two keep performing the way they are. Whoever else plays alongside them in midfield is going to probably play well because they're going to look good, just because those two are going to make them play well. So Fofana, who scored, didn't he? He
did,
game.
And I have to say, if he hadn't scored, that had to have been one of the most clearest penalties I have seen. Like that attack on Pulisic just before Fofana scored. If he doesn't score, that is like one of the most stonewall penalties.
I would have guaranteed it being given Milan the penalty.
That was just insane. Nowhere near the ball, just kicked Pulisic off his feet. But Fofana scored, so that's.
I mean, so I think the midfield looks good. Obviously, Pulisic is now firing. He scored 2 goals in the win against Udinese, and the defense is looking more solid now since that Cremonese game than it should do, given the personnel. So that credit goes to Allegri, of course. So far good. But like I said, let's not get carried away. Let's see now that the tough games are coming up for Milan.
Yeah.
They've had their easy starts to the season. Now we see when they're really pushed by, a Napoli team who, they look right now like they're going to win the Scudetto comfortably, I think. But we'll see. We'll see what Milan can do. I mean, if you look at the odds for this game, actually that reflects how actually the bookmakers see this as really 50-50. 8-5 Milan, Napoli 21-10, and draw 7-4. So actually Milan are slight favourites over Napoli to win this game. So that's quite interesting. And then the probable 11s. I mean, the team news. Obviously, that Napoli have to play Pisa first, so we'll see what comes from that. Also, bear in mind that there will be the Champions League a few days after this game for Napoli, and we know that the Champions League is going to be important for Conte this season. And we know that obviously they lost their first game against Manchester City. Unfortunately, it was game conditioned by a red card early in the game, which just ended the game. As a contest, really annoyed me. I was really looking forward to that game.
Yeah, me too.
Pissed me off.
Me too. It annoyed me to no end. A moment of madness by Bokemang Di Lorenzo just basically cost Napoli the entire game. Yeah,
it did, and they started comfortably. Like City were not threatening or anything. I really wanted to see, similar to how I want to see how Milan do against Napoli. I really wanted to see where Napoli were at against the top team like Man City away. And that was robbed of us. That annoyed me as well. But so we'll have to see what happens from that. Like, will he rotate a little bit because of the Champions League?
I mean, I expect the rotation to come against Pisa more than anything.
I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And then we'll have to wait and see how it, based on that, we'll have to wait and see how.
Knowing Conte, I expect him to play pretty close to full strength team. Like we know Antonio Conte. Like he doesn't want to.
He has changed. He's not the same coach he was before.
He doesn't want to lose. He doesn't want to lose to Allegri. He doesn't want to lose to Allegri.
Oh, he's not going to lose to Allegri. Like he can't handle that.
He's going to end up playing his full team. So we're probably going to.
He's not going to. He can't handle losing.
Milinkovic-Savic or Meret. Di Lorenzo will play. The left back, it could be that Spinazzola or Oliveira plays in this game. That one we don't know. And then, Rachmani could be back, so he might start. And then Buongiorno or Juan Jesus at centre back. Then in midfield, I think he's going to play full strength midfield. I do. I think he'll play McTominay.
I think he has to against Rabiot and Modric. I don't think he has
that's what I mean. Yeah, it'll be McTominay, De Bruyne, Lobotka, and Guisa. I think they'll all play. And then on the right, I think it'll probably be Politano. Then up front, I think it'll be Højlund. So I think they're going to play all of them. But we'll see after the Pisa game. There might be some injuries and some tiredness and rotation. We'll see. As for Milan, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be. Let me come to Leao in a second. It'll be the same team because Magnon's still going to be out, isn't he? So it'll be Terracciano. Then it will be the normal back three of Tomori, Pavlovic, and Gabbia in the middle. Salamakers on the right, Estupinan on the left. It'll be Modric, Fofana, and Rabiot, and then it will be Pulisic, and then will Leao start? I
don't think so.
Or not? That's the question, isn't it? Will Leao start?
I have to say, I really like.
Or will it be Jimenez?
I really like Estupinan's start to his Milan career. He's been very impressive, in my opinion. They've not missed Theo Hernandez, to put it like that. He's looked really well. He's covered for them. He's offered what Allegri wants, and he's done really well. But the question mark is, what happens? Leao, does Allegri want to throw him into the deep end? How fit is he? Will he throw him on in the second half? Depending on how the game looks and so on. So I mean, it's all going to be.
Yeah, it'll be a 3-4-2-1 for Milan, and for Napoli it'll be 4-4-1-1 or 4-1-4-1.
4-1-4-1, yeah.
Yeah, however you want to put it. So I mean, I guess if not Leao, then it'll be Jimenez. I think Nkunku will be on the bench again. I think they're pushing him in. That's the other thing. We're talking about the anti-Napoli. I mean, if those two players start hitting it off, Leao and Nkunku, Leao. If Leao plays as the number 9, which is kind of my prediction, after seeing him in pre-season, I think he'll end up being the 9 instead of Jimenez in a new position. If Leao hits it off in that role with Pulisic, Nkunku, if those two behind it, that's a lot of potential attacking firepower. And
Pulisic continues to just score for Milan. He's just so concrete for Milan in front of goal. He just doesn't. He just delivers. Doesn't do anything fantastic, or he doesn't do anything like highlight reel YouTube, but he just scores.
The only negative I can give for Milan right now is in terms of scoring is Jimenez. He does he missed another big chance. He's really low on confidence. That's the only negative I can give.
Agreed.
Prediction. What's your prediction? It's very early days, very early now. Early prediction for this game.
I can't get away from a 1-1 draw. Very cagey affair. Very cagey affair. I don't see any of them wanting to lose.
I think if it's a draw after 60 minutes, it's going to be a draw.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think both
it's Allegri and Conte, and
both teams will be like a nod and a wink. Yeah, let's just
God, I love old school Italian football. Long may it live.